Broke black entrepreneur gives ride to mysterious hitchhiker, shocked to discover. She's a runaway millionaire. He was barely scraping by, his small car rattling down empty streets as the sun dipped behind crumbling apartment buildings. Alone. Figure appeared on the roadside, thumb outstretched, face hidden under a hoodie. Something about her drew him in. Not just the desperation in her eyes, but a strange, haunting aura. Little did he know that this random act of kindness would turn his world upside down. What he saw in her wasn't what the world would see. She carried secrets of unimaginable wealth and a life completely alien to his own. And yet, it wasn't money that would change him. It was the truth about the world he lived in. Marcus had always believed in hard work. A black entrepreneur in his late 20s, he ran a tiny cleaning business, barely covering rent and car payments. Every day was a careful balancing act, chasing contracts, negotiating with skeptical clients, and navigating a society that constantly underestimated him because of his skin color. Despite his determination, opportunities seemed scarce. That evening, as he drove home from a long day, Marcus spotted her, a young woman, trembling in the cold, looking completely out of place on the deserted street. He hesitated. Stories of scams and danger flashed through his mind, yet something about her vulnerability, the subtle way she kept glancing over her shoulder, moved him. Against his better judgment, he pulled over. She slid into the passenger seat silently, and the car smelled faintly of perfume, expensive, foreign even. Marcus stole glances at her, curious but cautious. Her hoodie concealed most of her features, and she spoke almost no words. The tension was palpable. Marcus felt a surge of empathy, but also unease, a sense that she was hiding something critical. Unbeknownst to him, she carried a past and a privilege that could never exist in his world. She had been raised in gilded halls, her life a stark contrast to the cramped apartments and relentless hustle that defined Marcus's reality. But tonight, circumstances had stripped her of comfort, leaving only fear, and a need for connection she could trust. As the city lights flickered past, two lives from completely different worlds collided, the first sparks of change igniting without either of them realizing how explosive the outcome would be. The car hummed down the highway in near silence. Marcus kept stealing glances at the young woman, noting the expensive watch peeking from her sleeve, the manicured nails that seemed absurdly out of place. His mind wrestled with questions. Was she running from someone? Something? Then came the first hint of injustice. As they passed a bustling neighborhood, Marcus witnessed a group of men yelling at him from a sidewalk. "Hey, driver! Why's a black man driving with a fancy lady?" Their tone was mocking, laden with suspicion. Marcus gripped the steering, wheel tighter, heart pounding. This encounter, brief and casual, reminded him of the racial prejudice he faced daily. She finally spoke, a voice soft yet deliberate. I just need a place to hide for a while." Her admission, though quiet, carried a weight that was impossible to ignore. Marcus nodded, offering reassurance despite the gnawing fear of unknown consequences. The tension escalated when a call came through on her phone, the ringtone unfamiliar yet menacing. She froze, panic flashing in her eyes. "They're looking for me," she whispered. Marcus, though unfamiliar with wealth and privilege, instinctively understood the stakes. Whoever they were powerful enough to hunt her relentlessly. Through the night, Marcus maneuvered streets with skill honed by necessity, each stoplight a brief respite. Conversations were minimal, but every glance, every silence carried unspoken understanding. He began to realize the cruel reality she had escaped, a world of greed, entitlement, and danger where her wealth made her a target, and the color of his skin marked him as inherently suspect in society's eyes. By dawn, their journey had taken them far from familiar streets. Marcus felt a strange mixture of fear, responsibility, and awe. He wasn't just giving someone a ride. He was navigating a world that constantly sought to divide people along lines of race and wealth, witnessing injustice from both ends. And somewhere deep in her eyes, Marcus glimpsed gratitude and something else, a recognition that he had offered a rare form of sanctuary, one money could never buy. Suddenly, headlights appeared behind them, aggressive, unrelenting. Marcus's pulse quickened. The reality of the danger they faced hit him. His hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles white. He realized that helping her was more than a moral choice now. It was a life-or-death situation. As the pursuit intensified, Marcus remembered every lesson learned from navigating a world biased against him. Quick thinking, sharp instincts, and the courage built from constant struggle became their shield. He maneuvered through narrow streets, dodged obstacles, and prayed they wouldn't be caught. Finally, he pulled into a secluded alley. She turned, to him, eyes wide, voice trembling. "Thank you for everything. You have no idea how rare this is." Marcus shook his head. "No, you don't understand. You're not just lucky. You're alive because of choices made in a world that never gives us both a fair chance." At that moment, a security vehicle appeared, a wealthy family's agent tracking her movements. Marcus and the young woman were caught in a standoff, the power imbalance glaringly evident. Yet Marcus refused to back down. He stood, unarmed, facing authority and privilege that assumed control was theirs by default. In that charged silence, the clash between wealth, race, and moral courage became undeniable. Eventually, the tension eased. The agents recognized the humanity in Marcus, the undeniable decency that no amount of privilege could negate. The young woman stepped forward, revealing her identity as a runaway millionaire. Marcus's jaw dropped, but it wasn't awe at her wealth, it was realization. In that moment, wealth and status were meaningless compared to courage, integrity, and empathy. She thanked him again, offering a reward he declined. Marcus understood the lesson was never about money. It was about seeing people beyond stereotypes, rising above societal prejudice, and taking action when the world often demands inaction. As she left, Marcus stayed behind in his modest apartment, reflecting on the night. The world would continue to challenge him, to judge him, and to underestimate him. Yet he felt something unshakable, the knowledge that his humanity and the courage to act was more powerful than wealth or privilege. The story left him with a question that would linger. In a world where injustice is often invisible, what choices would you make when no one else is watching? Marcus realized that sometimes the most profound impact isn't measured in dollars, but in moments of compassion that challenge systemic inequality and human assumptions. That night stayed with him. The memory of her eyes, the weight of her fear, and the fleeting but powerful bond they had shared. He understood that true courage wasn't about confronting wealth or status. It was about confronting the everyday injustices that society often ignored, the silent battles fought by people like him every day. From that moment on, Marcus carried a renewed sense of purpose. Every client he met, every street he drove, and every interaction became an opportunity to act with integrity, to recognize the humanity in others, and to rise above the prejudices that had once tried to define him. The runaway millionaire had unknowingly gifted him a lesson far greater than money could ever provide: the value of empathy, the strength of moral courage, and the undeniable truth that one small act of kindness can ripple far beyond a single night. In a world that constantly divides by race, wealth, and status, Marcus finally understood that real change begins when someone decides to see beyond the surface, to act despite fear, and to stand for what is right, even when no one is watching. And as he gazed out of his apartment window at the city lights, He asked himself the question that would echo in his heart forever. How many opportunities to do the right thing had he ignored, and how many more would he seize from this moment forward? The night had ended, but the lesson would last a lifetime.